Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya Varyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Kesavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krito Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyaptadehaaya Dakshinaamurtaye Namaha उकारः तु अन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः विषेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ नमो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो नमः प्रज्ञानां सुप्रधानैः स्थिरचरणिकरव्यापिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् सविष्टान् पुनरपि दिषणोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वपतिमधुरभङ् मायया भोजयन्नः मायासङ्ख्या तुरीयं परम् अमृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि ओङ्कारं पादशो विद्यात् पादामात्रा न संशयः ओङ्कारं पादशो ज्ञात्वा न किञ्चिदपि चिन्तयेत् किञ्चिदप्रणवे चेतः प्रणवो ब्रह्म निर्भयं प्रणवे नित्ययुक्तस्य न भयं विद्यते क्वचित् प्रणवो ह्यपरं ब्रह्म प्रणवश्च परं स्मृतः अपूर्वोऽनन्तरो बाह्यः अनपरः प्रणवो व्ययः सर्वस्य प्रणवो ह्यादिः मध्यमन्तस्तथैव च एवं हि प्रणवं ज्ञात्वा विष्णुते तदनन्तरं प्रणवं हि ईश्वरं विद्यात् सर्वस्य हृदये स्थितं सर्वव्यापिनमोङ्कारं मत्वा धीरो न शोचति अमात्रोऽनन्तमात्रश्च द्वैतस्योपशमः शिवः ओङ्कारो विदितो येन समुनिर्नेतरो जनः इति प्रथमम् आगमप्रकरणं सम्पूर्णम् ओङ्कारं पादशो विद्यात् पादामात्रा न संशयः ओङ्कारं पादशो ज्ञात्वा न किञ्चिदपि चिन्तयेत्. We saw this. Understand Omkara by understanding the padas and its samyam with the matras of Omkara. Matrascha padaha. The Omkara can be an abhidhana for the abhideya, which is the Brahman. The Vastu can be revealed by Omkara by showing that Vachalambanam Vikaro Namadheyam Mritiketyava Satyam, that all the things which are there is nothing non-separate from the words, and the words are non-separate from the sounds, and sounds are not non-separate from Omkara. So all that is here is Omkara. That is one. The other way, if for the Adama Adhikari, what was said, Manda Adhikari, it was said it can be used as a alambana. On Omkaram, you can do an alambanam of the Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara in the form of the three matras. The alambanam, adhyaropanam can be done, aropanam can be done, and you can do a contemplation or meditation. Therefore, padashaha vidyat. So even in both cases, the understanding of the padas samyam with the matra is essential. And nakinchidapi chintayet, Bhashyakara said, Prayojanam drishtartam adrishtartam va na kinchidapi prayojanam chintayet. So once this Brahman is understood, you can see that there is nothing else which yields you a benefit. All the benefit that you look for in the worldly things, whatever benefit that you, for which you actually aspire, the worldly objects, the benefit is actually in the Omkara only, because your Swarupa is the one which is the fruit of every action. The oneness with the Swarupa is what is accomplished when you actually get a result in which you act, in which you relish. So whenever you are seeing an enjoyment, a relishment, you can always see that it is sourced from your own Swarupa. You can trace its root to your Swarupa. Therefore, Kinchit Prayodanam na chintayet. This is what Bhashyakara had explained this. Yunjita pranave chetaha pranavo brahma nirbhayam. Pranave nityayuktasya na bhayam vidyate kvachiti. The bhaya, the fear, is what we run away from. We are always running away from the fear of samsara, whether you know it or not. All the time, there is a sense of insecurity. Sense of insecurity because you have no grasp, no handle on what goes on. Because there is a limitation of the capacity, capability, there is a limitation of knowledge. So there is a limitation of happiness, there is a limitation on your ability to accomplish things. There is a limitation of the size of your body, there is a limitation of your looks, your past, your ability to act, your ability to fathom others or what others are thinking, how others think, how others behave. So there is limitation everywhere. And either there is anger or there is fear from objects which are around you in one way or the other. Even the fear of losing something that you like, there is a fear. Fear of losing your body, this life. Fear of losing your health. Fear of losing the people you like. Fear of losing things which you possess. Fear of not getting what you want. So there is anxiety, fear all through the life. And that is what we want to get away from. Otherwise, nobody fears samsara. The samsara is not acceptable because it is full of these kinds of anxieties, fears, disappointments, dejections, guilt and hurt. Because all the time these are things we all know, but it's just good to restate. Nothing that that Shastra has to come and tell. Just looking at things around you, just step back, you can see this as fact. That is what is called Pariksha Lokan, Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka. These things Shastra doesn't need to come and tell you. Just a dispassionate observation of what is going on, you can see that there is a fact that there is fear, and the fear is because of the disappointments and sense of belonging, sense of owning, your attachments. Is all is there with everybody, so it is natural, it is intrinsically there, because it is not unique to one person. Whatever I am just saying is there with everybody. Even President of America will have this. So it is a common human problem. And that is, why is it common? Because it is centered on the notion that I am this body and this limited person. So when it is centered on the notion that I am this limited person with this body which is full of imperfection, limitations, time-wise bound, all the time deteriorating, changing, not just the body and body of people around me, the wealth that I possess, everything that is there keeps changing. So there is an uncertainty in things which are there, and that is centered on the notion that I am this body. And if it is a true fact, there is nothing that can be done about it. There is no moksha possible. Whether you are owned up by Narayana or Jesus or Muhammad, whatever, Allah or whatever. It doesn't matter when you are under protection of somebody. The fact that you are limited doesn't change if it is your true nature. But this vision where all that is here is Pranava, is Brahman. When you gain this vision, then what happens? Nabhayam vidyate kvachit, because it hits at the roots of this whole samsara. The root of the samsara is the notion that I am this body. I am as good as this body. This I, when it is located on this body, this mind, this individuality, then there is a problem. But if the I is truly recognized as what it really is, which is this pranava or Brahma Swarupa, then nabhayam vidyate kvachit pranave nitya yuktasya. This nitya yoga, being one with pranava, means recognizing that you are pranava. That is all. If you are not a pranava, then this nitya yukta is not possible. How long can you hold on to something? If it is different from you, you will hold it for some time. After that, you will keep it on the table next to you, right? When sometimes we are asked to stand in the reception in some function, so you will be given this rose water and the chandan and some chocolates or probably some sugar. You are keeping that in your hand and standing. So when people come, you do spray and they take this sweet and get in. Now, initially, there'll be loads of people coming, and as the event starts, you can't just keep it and go away, right? Generally there'll be people who will come slightly late, 10 minutes late. So you have to be there at least till half an hour into the program has started. So you'll be waiting. Then slowly people will start slowing. It will trickle down slowly. So will you keep it always in the hand? You are supposed to hold it, but after some time you will keep it in the table next to you. So whenever you see somebody there little distant away coming, then you will pick it up and keep it in your left hand, so that when they are there you can do this, right? Anything that it may be, however passionate you are, you can't hold on to things forever. So this holding nitya yuktaha means what? You have to recognize that you are not different from it. That is nitya yoga. Pranave nitya, the nitya moksha and all that can't be you go and sit in some place. That is not nityam. Nitya means it should already be there. Then only it is nitya. This nitya moksha means if already mukta, then it is nitya mukta. If it is not already there, it is not nitya mukta. If you are going to get, that means it's not nitya. Nitya can't start in time. Similarly, nitya yuktasya, when you say, that means you are already yukta. You are already pranava. Then only it is nitya yuktasya. If you are now only going to become pranava, then there is no nitya yuktasya. Okay, pranave nitya yuktasya na bhayam vidyate kvachit. One recognize oneself as already pranava swarupa, just that I didn't know so far. By ignorance I was separated, by knowledge I have gained it. Pranave nitya yuktasya na bhayam vidyate kvachit. What is the source of fear? There is no source, because whatever is seen is you. There is nothing else. There can be a threat to the body, there can be threat to this your physical belonging, but what is the threat and what is your belonging? Both are same Brahma. What is this body and what is the threat to this body are both Brahman. And the fact that this was born is mithya, the fact that it is dying is mithya, the fact that it is aging is mithya. Satyam is always there, which is the witness to all these things, and Surupataha, which doesn't change. That on which time exists, that on which objects exist, that on which space exists, that where the existence can be attributed, which is Swaprakasham Swatasiddham. That Vastu is Pranava. In that Pranave Nityayuktasya na bhayam vidyate kvachitu. Why? Because Udaram Antaram Kurute Atatasya bhayam bhavati. When there is a second thing, then there can be a fear. But when there is no second thing, na bibheti kutaschana. Because there is no kutaha. Kutaschana, Vastu is not there. So Kutaschana, Kinchana Vastu is not there. Vidwan na bibheti. The one who knows that all that is here is Brahman. So Pranave Nityayuktasya na bhayam vidyate. So what should you do? Yunjita Pranave Chetaha. Because Pranavaha Brahma, Nirbhayam Brahma Pranavaha. Pranava is Brahman. So Yunjita Chetaha, all the time be cognizant of this knowledge. Make it available to you all the time. Make it Swabhavikam. All the pratibandha which is there, swabhavika pravritti which is there in the form of obstruction to the availability of this knowledge, just remove it through nididhyasana and manana. And once you have done that, then adityavat prakashate jnanam. Like in Gita, Bhagavan says, this knowledge will be available all the time because it is you. You have, it's just that all your other notions you have removed. And then Swaprakasham, because your Swarupa, it is all the time there. You don't need to make any effort to be in this knowledge because it is Swarupa. That is Sahaja Samadhi. Sahaja, it is born with you. Born because your own Swarupa. What is born? The born also, it is all, some certain things are figurative expressions. You have to understand because we need to use a language to make you understand. The moment you use language, there are things which will go with there are terms we use which are figurative. Otherwise, we can't use the language without figurative expression because otherwise you have to say Brahma, that's all. You can't say another word. Like Anamika Bhyan Namaha, the second finger doesn't have a name. The moment you have counted one, which is Brahman, there is nothing second to count. So that way, just say Brahma, leave it. Then you won't understand anything. So we need to have these expressions. Sahaja, the Samadhi Sahajaha, because as when you born itself, the Samadhi is there with your Swarupa. Because your Swarupa is where your Samadhi is, where Samadhi Chittaha Asminati, where you are collected in your Swarupa. Pranavo hi aparam brahma pranavascha param smritaha. Apurvaha anantaraha bahyaha naparaha pranavaha vyayaha. These are all words. See, these words are essential to reveal the Swarupa. Avyayaha is Brahma. Each word itself shows what is Brahma. So Avyayaha Navyeti. So you just observe what doesn't change in the world. There's nothing, anything you see changes. So now where does this word Avyayaha go and stick itself to? The only thing is Brahma. Nowhere else it can stick itself because anywhere, anything else changes. Aparam Brahma Param Smritaha. Parapare Brahmani Pranavaha. We have seen all this quickly. We'll just take the essence and keep moving. Asya Antaram na vidyate, Vinnajatiyam na vidyate. That is Anantaraha. There is nothing other than Brahman. There is nothing before Brahman. Na Purvam Karanamasya vidyate, because Sarva Karanam Brahma. So what is underneath is Brahman, what is available as manifested Jagat is Brahman. Anantaraha, there is nothing other than Brahman, there is no Bahyaha, it doesn't have anything outside it. The outside is also Brahman, inside also is Brahman. Aparam karyamasya na vidyate, so that there is no, from Brahman something else is going to come, there is nothing there. Saindava Ghanavat Prajnana Ghanaha. I think we saw till here. So like the salt in the ocean. Where will you go and find salt in the ocean? It is everywhere. You can't say this part of the ocean is salty. The whole Atlantic, Pacific, Indian Ocean, everything is salt. So there is no place in ocean where you won't find salt. Therefore, that is how it is. Nothing is away from it being consciousness. Find something in this world where there is no consciousness. The moment it is found means what? It is pervaded by your consciousness. That's it. Unless consciousness pervades, you can't find a thing. You can't objectify. There is nothing. Any object is inseparable from the subject, which is consciousness. So, sir, there is nothing else. Everything, even when you break it further, it is still consciousness only. Not an consciousness means don't objectify and say, hey, if I split open a stone, do I find consciousness there? The fact that there is a perception of splitting, opening a stone itself rests on consciousness. So you don't have to go and objectify and find consciousness there. That which is objectifying is consciousness, and what is objectified doesn't exist on its own. In fact, nothing exists there. What exists is the one that is objectifying, nothing more than that. In fact, the entire Vaitatya Prakaranam, which is going to start now, beautifully deals with this. Because, see, the problem with this jnanam, people face with this jnanam is, hey, how can you say Jagat is Maya, Mithya? Every day we hear this question also. No? Nowhere it is said, Shankara, as yesterday somebody asked this, there was a reference to this question. Nobody has said, Shankara hasn't said everything is Maya. Bhashyakara doesn't say that. How come you guys are saying all that? Yeah, nobody says this. Our Siddhanta is not about Maya at all. If you say there is Maya, it is Dvaitam. Simple. Maya, if it is an existence other than Brahman, that means there is a second thing. You can attribute it any which way you want, but so there's no Tatparya in Maya. But the question comes is, I see the world. I see a tangible world. How can you say it doesn't exist? I see sun, I see moon, I see mountain. But you say that it doesn't exist. That is a question. Drishyatvat is the logic they use. They say you are Mayavadis, you are dismissing what is evidently there. You are sitting and talking, you are having this laptop in front of you, you have this book, you have people listening to you, you are opening the mouth and saying some words, and yet you say none of these exist. We don't say they don't exist, we say they don't have vastutaha existence. Are we saying pot exists, or pot exists but it exists as clay? There is a difference. We say pot doesn't exist, but there is existence. Now, in what form does it exist? How do you perceive it, the thing that exists? Is it true to its nature? Is the question. We only Buddhists say nothing exists. We don't say nothing exists. In fact, we say there is only existence. Even when you are in deep sleep, there is existence. Now the question is the existence in the form of the division and duality that you see is the question. Now that we dismiss. We don't dismiss there is no world. We say that Shastra, when I say we, I'm just standing on as the Shastra here, right? Not some Paksha. The Shastra says That Shruti says, Apaurushaya Vakyas reveal the fact which is assimilatable knowledge that all that exists is one Sadvastu. Can you dismiss that? You don't understand and then question this. Now, anyway, coming back, that is the logic is all the I am seeing a world. How can you say it doesn't exist? Drishyatvat, there is Jagat. It is seen, therefore it has to exist. Now, Vaiditya Prakaranam says Drishyatvat, it is untrue. Because you see it, what you see, none of it has a existence on its own. Again, they will say it is not assimilatable. How can it be? In Vakan, when I see something, how can I say it doesn't? So then Drishtanta is brought, Yata Swapne. Swapne, that is how the Vaiditya Prakarana start. We'll see later today. I think we'll have time to get into that. But Swapne Drishya Vastu is there. Things are seen, but do they really exist? So this is assimilatable fact. It is not that you don't have an experience where what is seen is not real. There are many, in Vakan itself, there are like Mrigadrishnika and all that. Bhashikara talks no here. But more assimilatable is in the dream you are having things which you see, but they don't exist truly. So Drishyatvat, same logic. Like Swamiji used to typically give this example. No, one lawyer argued, a defense lawyer, a defense or prosecution, let's take it as prosecution. Prosecution argued that somebody is guilty using certain line of arguments. And then he spoke for half an hour and then he says that's why the person is guilty. Then defense gets up and says, whatever logic that prosecution has given, for the same reasons I claim that the person is not guilty. So I don't need separate set of arguments. Like this Shatadhushani was a book written, I think by Vedanta Desika or somebody. And someone wrote another book saying Satabhushani. Okay. And but this 100 faults of Advaita is what that person wrote. And this person wrote back saying that these are 100 ornaments of Advaita, Satabhushani. And all the 100 points are the same 100 that the other person used. How can there be Maya? Is a Dushanam, somebody says. Then I said, Maya is the Bhushanam of Advaita because that helps explain what is Brahman. Simple. Now, a Prakriya you can't take and then keep arguing. How can there be Pratibimba? A Pratibimba is a Vada. It's a methodology to reveal what is Brahman. That's it. Now you don't like that Prakriya, fine. Let's look at some other Prakriya. But it's a Prakriya, right? I'm not here to prove that Pratibimba is a fact. I am using Pratibimba as a means to show that all that is here Brahman. He is Brahman, right? So now coming back, Sarvasya Pranavo Hiyadihi Madhyamantastataiva cha evam hi pranavam nyatva vishnute tadanantaram Sarvasya Adihi Pranavaha Madhyam Antaha Tataiva cha Srishti Sthiti Samhara is Pranava. So from Pranava only Srishti has happened, Sthiti is happening, and Antaha Samhara will happen. So everything is from Pranava. Pranava is the first thing. Before a Brahma came, Vishnu came, Shiva came, Pranava only has come. And that Pranava we call as Ganesha. You see how the religious framework has been framed, has been composed by our rishis using these Shastra Drishti. The Shastra Drishti is that Pranava is all that is here from which the Adi, Madhya and Anta emanates, and that has been given a form, saying Ganesha is Pranavaswarupa. Pranavaswarupa Vakratundam Nijavamakara Vidrita Ikshudandam in Vatapi Ganapatim. Muthuswami Dikshidhar has written, right? The Sahitya. Pranavaswarupa. The Pranavakara is Ganesha, and Adi Madhya Anta is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Sarvasya Pranavohi. See, unless we understand the Shruti Vakyas appropriately, it is difficult to be cognizant of what the religious tradition has given us. So if you don't understand Vedanta Vakyas in proper way, then you understand it like a Dvaiti or a Vishtadvaiti or a Sankyavadi and all that. How can you assimilate our religious tradition? Then you have to call it this as, then give everything only Pauranika connotation. Ganesha means some Vishwakshena or something, right? And then they will say Tumbike Alvar in Tamil, and then they give some story as some Pauranika, somebody who is subservient to another god who possesses you. You are owned by that god and all that. Then all kinds of theological connotations which will not be assimilatable. It will be set of stories where you have to believe in. That's all. There is nothing more assimilatable in those kind of interpretations which are Pauranic. But if you recognize, understand Shruti Vakyas in the way they have, the import is truly, then the entire religious tradition also attains the meaning. Now a jnani can also go to a temple and be able to understand what the temple is from a Tatparya perspective. So it is not something that goes away. It becomes more meaningful. Then you go to Ganesha, you understand, oh, this is Pranava, how Pranava is Brahma. That's all. Simple. Sarvasya Pranavaha hi Adihi Madhyam Antas Tathaivacha. Evam hi Pranavam Nyatva Vyashnute Tadanantaram Anantaram Atmabhavam Vyashnute Apnoti. Pranavam Nyatva. How jnatva? Evam jnatva. In this manner, you understanding Pranava as that which from which everything has emanated, that which everything is sustained, that which in which everything goes back. Because all that is here is Vak only, Namadheyam only, Namamatram. When it is all Namamatram, it is as though born. So Bhashyakara is going to say Maya Hasti Rajju Sarpa Mrigatrishnika Swapnadivat उत्पद्यमानस्य व्यदादि प्रपंचस्य यथा मायाव्यादयः एवं हि प्रणवम्. Like the Mayavi in the case of Mayavi Prapancha. Before that, we'll also read the first line. Okay. Adi Madhyanta Utpatti Sthiti Pralayaha Sarvasya Pranavaha Eva. So Adi Madhyanta is translated as Utpatti Sthiti Pralaya. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. And they are same Pranava. That's why they say Ganesha is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Done. Maya Hasti Rajju. So again, all the Shiva and Vishnu and all have other connotations also. If you take it as Utpatti Sthiti Pralaya Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. See, it's again, that's why this religious tradition contextually, see, Vishnu can be taken as Purna. See, when we are talking about Pranava, which is Vigneshwara, then we have to say Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva is within Vigneshwara. Now, Vyapnoti iti Vishnu, then Vishnu is the one which is both Parabrahman and Aparabrahman, as Bhagavad Gita is bringing. Then Vishnu becomes the whole thing, right? And everything else comes within Vishnu. That's why Vishnu Purana will show Vishnu as something which is all that is here. Sarva Vyapinam. Similarly, here Shiva is used, this Mandukya. But the Tikagara is going to say it is Ramananda Surupatvat. The Ananda Swarupa is, so that is a different context. Now here, if the context is Pranava, then Utpatti Sthiti Pralaya, we say is Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, the Trimurtis, and they are one with this Pranava Swarupa. And how is this Maya Hasti? The magical elephant that comes on the stage. There is a stage and a huge elephant comes. There is no actual elephant. Okay, it's either a mirror or some kind of a thing that the magician makes you see. There is no elephant which is brought onto the stage. It's impossible. It's a small stage made of wood. Elephant comes, it will break and fall. It's a flimsy stage, but then magician shows an elephant. On what is this elephant come? On the Mayavi. Okay, that's why Mayavyadya Adayaha Yatha. Likewise, from Omkara is this creation. Means what? Omkara doesn't change, hasn't become this Jagat. It is no Parinami Karana, but Vivarta Karana. You see, the Tikagara writes that Tatra Parinamavadam Vyavartya Vivartavadam Jyotayitum Udaharati Mayaviti. Maya Hasti Rajju Sarpa. So the snake on the rope, Mrigatrishnika, the Usharadesa in the desert or in the road, Tar road, you find the water. Swapna Adivati Utpadyamanasya, like the dream. Vedadi Prapanchasya Yata Mayavyadyaha. Like the Mayavi is for Maya Hasti, like the Rajju for Sarpa, like the Usharadesa for Mrigadrishnika, like your vacant state for the dream, whatever. Similarly, here Omkara is for the Srishti Sthiti Pralaya. It is an as though superimposed. But it has to have a basis. The as though has to have a basis. It can't be in Shunya. A Mithya has to have a Satyam underneath, on which only you can see Mithya. Even for Mrigatrishnika, you need a desert or you need something on which you see water, even though the water is not a fact. So then Tikagara also adds here, Aneka Udaharanam Utpadyamanasya Aneka Vidhatva Bodhanartham. So there could be so many different kinds of creation and perceived world, but all those are because it is Maya Karya. Therefore, many examples are given. See, because the creation, you can see there, you can say there are different types. Everything you can't reduce it to a Brahman. There are solids, there are liquids, there are emotions, there are, thoughts. There is a Manasa Vyapara, Kaika Vyapara, there is time, there is space. Each is a different entity, different kind of thing. Everything you can't be just redundant, reduce it to all that is here is one consciousness because you are seeing everything through consciousness. You can't say that. But the cause of, because here is, we are not talking of Parinami Karana. Only if it is Parinami Karana, then pot has to have a different material, watch has to have a different material, ornaments have to have a different material. One has to have gold as its cause, one has to have plastic as its cause, something has to have a PVC as its cause. So if there are different things which are there, which are actually by the effect of change, if they are produced, then you need to have different material. But here it is Vivarta Karana, it is only superimposed effect. There is no, so if it is a Mayavi creating a world, so the Mayavi's world can be anything because it is only a projected world. On the white screen, you are projecting. You can project Niagara Falls, you can project Kutralam Falls, you can also project the drain which is going outside your home. Doesn't matter, because it's a projection. It is what, but what is the content of what is seen is only Nyapti Swarupa. Therefore, this Nana Jagat, whether it is Maya Hasti, whether it is Maraju Sarpa, any which way the creation is, it is all superimposed only. एवं हि प्रणवम् आत्मानं मायाव्याधिस्थानीयं ज्ञात्वा तत्क्षणादेव तदात्मभावं विष्णुते इत्यर्थः. तदात्मभावं किम आत्मभावं with what? With the pranava, which is Brahma. Because mayavyadisthaniyam, like the mayavi and rajju and all that, it is the pranava which is what is sustaining all that is here. Once you recognize, then there is nothing else that is pranava, and when there is nothing else, that means you are also the same pranava. Atma bhavam, tadatma bhavam, apnoti, gains. Apnoti, again figurative expression. How else you will say? So far you didn't have that bhava, that even though you were same pranava so far, but so far you didn't have that bhava. So ashnute, you have to say. That means it's not that you have become pranava, but that bhava has come in your mind because so far that ajnana was there and now it is gone. Don't ask again, ajnana is it the second thing, then how there is advaitam. Ajnanam is also mithya. So when you are talking about vastu drishtya, from the vastu perspective, there was never ajnanam, there will never be ajnanam, there is never jiva, there is nothing. That is why the Saguna Brahma and Nirguna Brahma, you have to understand. It's very difficult. Though we say from pot drishtya, it is only clay. From clay drishtya, there is no pot. When I say pot drishtya, pot is nothing but clay. And then I say from clay drishtya, clay doesn't see any pot. Is there any difference between the two? Both are same. But it is the way of understanding it. For you to understand, you have to say from Jagat Drishtya, it is Brahman, because you are starting at Jagat. Your mind is now fixated on the pot. The clay sense is not there. So you have to say pot is nothing but clay. But once that jnanam has come, then there you understand there is only clay. There was never a pot. But because you saw a pot, I have to say a pot is nothing but clay. Now, can you say ajnanam is gone? You always knew it was only clay. But you knew and you didn't know also. Will you say, oh, it's made of clay? Is it? You are not going to say that. You knew it was clay, but somehow you were thinking it was part. But then substance is nothing but clay. You say, okay. That is how this jnanam also. It's not suddenly you're going to discover something totally new. You kind of knew, but at the same time you didn't know. So that is why this jnanam we say, see, that's this jnanam, when it happens, the Shastra, does it really bring something totally new? How can it use words to teach you something totally new? It can't. It just removes certain portion. That's why it is bhagatyaga. Some portions of your understanding is corrected. That's all. But it's a huge thing. It just removes the samsara totally. It's not a simple thing. Okay. So we don't be, just because it removes Bhagat Yaga means, it doesn't mean that we are, it is like, it's not that we are like reducing the significance. People will say, yeah, we thought this jnana means something big. Trikala jnani means I will gain knowledge of what happens after 200 years. Why do you need to know? Knowing it, how does it, is it really needed? Knowing so many things, already your head is, unnecessarily worrying about so many things. The samsara. I don't need. Why do I need to know what happens after 2 years? What happened before 2000 years? How does it matter? Some samsara, something has happened. Somebody came, somebody went. My language, my this thing, Hindu culture, this, that. It's okay at one level, that's all fine, but because for this sampradaya to flourish, you need all that, so that's okay. But then people get obsessed. I have seen even people who come for this pursuit and having become sannyasis, they are into all this another kind of samsara, hindutva, this that, which is okay at one level, but then people getting obsessed. It's also samsara, no? It also takes you through. Again, you get hurt when somebody says something. So it's another samsara. You just, because you have an identity. It's an identity, no? The sannyasi or a jnani can't be just all the time identifying with one element. That identity, any kind of identity, has its own set of problems, because that identity is bound to be hurt by some or other action somebody does. Because any identity, whether it is with the body, see, you leave the body identity, but then you identify yourself with something else, some larger thing, some religious identity, cultural identity, national identity. All these identities are also problem. The moment you identify with one thing, then you don't identify with something else. That becomes a natural opponent to you. It may be right or wrong. I'm not saying that. That doesn't mean that we also have to say something is wrong, something is wrong. That's okay. But the moment we have to we start identifying ourselves to a particular identity, then it becomes another kind of bandha only. Pranavam hi Ishwaram vidyat sarvasya hridaye sthitam sarvavyapinam omkaram matva dhiro na sochati. Pranavam hi Ishwaram vidyate. Pranavam is Ishwaram. That is Saguna Ishvara is Pranava, Nirguna Ishvara also. What is Nirguna Ishvara? Swarupa of Ishvara. Okay. See, moment we use words like Pranavam, Akara, Ukara, Makara, all attributes in a sense. Even if you say Vacharambanam, that there is certain attribute, because yeah, Nama Matram, a Nama which is a tree, Vrikshaha, is different from, Marutaha, right? Or Maruti, different from. So each one has its own attribute. So when you say so, Shabda means Pranavam again is with attribute only. So Saguna only. Ishwaram Vidyat. This Pranavam is Ishwaram. Sarvasya Pranijatasya Smriti Pratyaya Aspade Hridaye Sthitam Ishwaram Pranavam Vidyat. And this Pranavam is where Hridaye Sthitam Sarvasya Pranijatasya Hridaye Pranavam Sthitam means. What is this Pranavam? Is he talking about this Omkara word here? No. It's again Atma only. But how can Atma be Hridaya Sthitam? See the next line, Sarvavyapinam. What is Hridaya Sthitam is also Sarvavyapinam Vyomavati. The moment you say Hridaya Sthitam, then immediately our mind says, okay, in the heart, the left side of the chest is the Hridaya. Because when I say I put my finger there. So that is where in the Hridaya Akasha, this Pranavam Sthitam, Atma is sitting. So can I do an X-ray and see this Atma? Or if you open, will I find the Atma or Omkaram? Or is he saying Hridaya means Buddhi? Suppose you can take it that way. And in Buddhi, Omkara sound is there. Omkara is the cause of it. Then all this mythological, mystical elements will come. Omkara is the cause of the world. And it is inside the Om. If you have ear for it, you will hear the sound Omkara in all the atoms and cells. It's all Omkara. Before Big Bang happened, the sound Om came. And from that Om only Big Bang happened. Then in everything that is here within the atoms, nucleus, you will find Omkara. That is what. So then all mysticism. That's why. So scientific explanation they'll try to give. Well, I don't understand the Tatparya, what is meant here. So you have to somehow give some convolutory explanation so that you can justify this Shruti statement. in your own way. Then all science and whatever bits and pieces of science knowledge people have, they will bring it all together and create some justification, and someone will come and oppose that, saying this is all concoction, and they won't know how to answer this, because in the first place you created out of your kapola kalpitam. When skull starts thinking like the brain, how will it think? That is kapola kalpita, no? Like that here omkara, then people will start giving their, like they parisechanam and all that, they give explanation, no, that it is because ants will enter the food and all kinds of insects will come, therefore you put water around the leaves. What kind of explanation? They'll give all that, everything they try to give some scientific explanation. You sit on darbhasana because then you are, when you are doing meditation, the energy gets collected. It should not be grounded. It's like your antenna, no? You don't want the the all the energy generated in your body due to meditation to be earthed. Okay, so that's why the asana. All explanation our own. Okay, and shika, why should it have, you have, because some solar this thing transmission enters your nervous system. I have read all this. Okay, then for that you need to have shika. All nerves go and end there, and then you have the shika there. Then this thing it will conduct like a television antenna. All just to give some explanation so that you are satisfied. Oh, my Veda is scientific. Okay, so this is what happens. Then there it will be refuted by somebody. Like saying this, my God exists in heaven. Somebody will say, show me your God. Then why did God create world with so much of disparity? What kind of God is your God? They'll say, I don't, we say there is no God. All this because both sides don't understand what is God. This is a problem. And they don't want to also, because there are multiple theologies. Somebody says it's in Vaikunta, somebody says something else, somebody says there is no God. There are so much of confusion. People say, I don't want all this headache. The religions only created all this discord. People died because of religions. So I don't want to listen or learn this because it doesn't help. So all these communists are born. The God and all this is a tatparya to understand what is. Our shastrajñas are like scientists. They wanted to understand what is going on, and that's where Shruti came. Apaurushaya Shruti they received. So to understand what is this life, that has to be some. We have to understand. No, that's the minimum. Who am I? Is the minimum I need to know. It's not a choice. I need to know who I am. But you will say, I already know I am so and so. No, but that is avichara siddham. Have you analyzed what you are? Because there is confusion. But they'll say there is no confusion, is what people will say. But that's where in Sambandha, in Adhyasa Bhashya, Bhashyakara clearly says there is confusion. Yushmat Pratyaya and Asmat Pratyaya can't be same. What I say as this and what I say I cannot be said together. I can't say this is me because this is a different cognition. I is a different cognition. There is some confusion. Start there. This is what he says. So that is how Shastrajñas approached, the Sampradaya approached it. God and all are also Prakriya only. You have to understand. We are not theologians. Ours is not a theology. Our commitment is not for gods and godheads and 33 crore gods. This is all to understand how the Srishti operates, functions. There is so much conscious order. Everything is a separate intelligence. That is 33 crore devatas. Just to understand how the Srishti is. But there is only one Chetana Vastu, and that can't be away from you, separate from you. Pranavam hi Ishwaram Vidyat. And that Ishvara is sarvavyapi. At the same time, hridaye sthitam. So is he inside? Now that is where we branched off. So is he, like when I say inside the heart, hridaya sthitam, does it mean inside the heart? No. Sarvavyapi, where is it obtained? What is the upalabdhi sthana? That is very important. Then only you can understand what is the sarvavyapi. Otherwise, you will think it is some atom, energy, something. Like Omkara, the sound is there in every object because it is the anoraniyan. You won't be able to hear that. But then if we develop technologies which can go further deep, then that Omkara sound, you can create all this kind of mystic theologies. And there will be followers. If we talk like that, you will get some thousands of followers also. These days, you have to be a mystic to get some following. Okay, that's all. Then there is something, they will also say this person knows something more than, if you say all that is here only Brahman, then that everybody says nowadays. No? So anyway, so coming back, we don't need to have following. That's okay. That's not, whatever is in Shastra, we can look at and go. That's enough. So Pranavam, this, what is this? Hridaya sthitam, it is where it is obtained. Upalabdhi sthanam. Yo veda nihitam guhayam parame vyomanne. In the parame vyomni buddhi guha. What is buddhi guha? Where all your thoughts obtain, where all your memory is, that is where the Swarupa is cognized. It is recognized there. Its upalabdhi is there. This I is recognized inside the buddhi. I is not recognized outside. I is not recognized in the body. I is recognized as the content of buddhi vritti. Therefore, the upalabdhi sthanam is buddhi only. Within the buddhi, guhayam nihitat, guha nihitatvam is there for atmavastu. Hridaye sthitam. Smriti pratyaya aspade hridaye. That's why Bhashyakara qualified that hridaya as not heart. Heart is not where smriti pratyaya is there. Smriti is memory, pratyaya is cognitions. These are the two things which makes the world for you. What you perceive now and the imprint of it which is there as memory. Together is what your worldly experience. The truth is the present. The pratyaya is the truth. And the imprint of it together makes the world. And what is in the smriti was pratyaya when it happened. Smriti pratyaya aspade hridaye sthitam ishwaram, which is your atmavastu, which is available to you in the buddhi as chinmatra, nyaptimatram. That is pranavam, that vidyat, but then is it limited within your buddhi? No, sarva vyapinam vyomavati. Like the akasha, the space, it pervades all that is here. That kind of omkaram, atmanam, asamsarinam, that which doesn't get involved in any samsara, but it is the aspada for all samsara, on which all samsara is happening, like a Mayavi who supports the Indra Loka, which is Maya. That kind of Omkara, Dhiraha, Dhiman, Buddhiman, Atmadattvam, Matva, Bhatva is Nyatva, Pashikara. Recognizing it as, not taking as. Matva, you shouldn't say taking it as Atma. No. Understanding it as the Atma is what Bhashyakara gives. Jnatva nasochati. Dhiraha nasochati. Soka nimittam nimittan upapattehe. Tarati shokam atmaviti ityadi shrutibhyaha. Why shokam tarati? Because shokam is like fear only. We have already seen bhayam. Now shokam also. And Bhashyakara also quotes a Shruti, Chandogya Shruti, Tarati Shokam, Atmavit, Ityadi, Adi Shabda, again Tikakara says, Bidhyate Hridaya Grantihi. Shokam is Hridaya Granti Bhedanam. Is also Tarati Shokam, Nasochati, Dhiraha. Okay, why Dhira? The one who is brave, who can take care of his emotional things. One has control on. There are many reasons why you can call a jnani as a dhira. We can see that it is easy to win external enemies, but to win over one's inside enemies inside, which is in the form of ragadvesha, needs a braveness. And disown one's own ahankara, falsifying one's own ahankara, means is a dhiraha. Dhiraha nasochati amatro anantamatrascha dvaitasyopasamah shivaha omkaraha viditaha yena samunihi na itaro janaha. This is the last verse in this Agama Prakarana. Concludes saying the Muni is the one who has understood this Omkara, not somebody else. And this Atma Vastu is Amatraha, Anantamatrascha, Dvaitasya Upashamaha. So it is where all the Dvaita resolves, and it is Shivaha, Mangalaha, Shantaha. In fact, this Tikakara says, Anartatmaka Dvaita Samsparsha Abhavat Apratibandena Paramanandatvam Tasminne Avirbhavati iti Abhipretya Aha. Paramanandatvam is there in Atmavastu, so it is called as Shivaha, Mangalaha, Ananda Swarupa, Ananda Natesha. Tomorrow is Ani Tirimanjana in Chidambaram. Upashama and Paramananda Swarupa. This Chinmatra Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa. And that's why it is Ananda Tandava. This Chit Sava, which is the Chit which is dancing as this Jagat, is Ananda. Paramananda Tvam is a, because Bhashyakara doesn't, he just says Sarvadvaitopashamat Upashamattvadiyeva Shivaha is how he says. And Tikakara says Paramanandatvam Tasmin Avirbhavati. Is Avirbhavanam also Paramananda Swarupa. There is no Avirbhavanam for this person, because fear goes away, this dukkha goes away, right? In the last verse it said Nasochati. The shoka goes away. So Swarupa is Ananda. There is nothing, you don't need like a Vishaya Sukha or Vishayananda, but it is Swarupa Ananda. It is Anantatvam, eternally Ananda. There is no like, it's not like a graph. We'll see more on this. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.